What's happening, guys? None of the greatest day of the year so far. St. Patrick's Day coming up. We're offering a proverbial pot of gold over here at WagerTalk for this Thursday, March 17th. Now, well, it's not actually going to be a pot of gold. It is the next best thing. It's for a limited time only. We're giving away the next 30 days of all of my plays for only $5.90 per day, including any and all 5% best bet releases as well. So, for the next 24 hours, get my 30-day all-access pass discounted from $299 down to just $177 when using coupon code LUCKY when checking out. So we're going to be gearing up for an absolutely massive March and beyond, so make sure and join us for that. Celebrate St. Patrick's Day with myself, and always remember, may your pockets be heavy and your troubles light. So happy St. Patrick's Day for myself and everyone at Wager Talk. Till next time, Slánahfuil.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, Thursday, March 17th, and the NCAA Tournament is about to begin for Rio. We had the first 4 playing games on Tuesday and Wednesday, but now we get the round of 64, full throttle Thursday and Friday, and we will have it for you here live every noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Monday through Friday, including the next 2 days while the tournament tips off. So be sure to check us out while you got the games on in the background. And if you're joining us afterwards, don't forget it's archived 24/7 here on WagerTalk TV. And you can also listen to it on your favorite podcast apps. I'm Steve Merril, filling in for the Prez this week, and that's my co-host Teddy Covers, live from Las Vegas, Nevada. And that guy at the intro there had a pretty good Irish accent for St. Patrick's Day. We're going to see if he can keep it going. We're going to have Kevin Dolan on in a little bit, and he does have a nice St. Patrick's Day once a special. Once again, Lucky is the code. Lucky, I like it. He's going to look at some Irish stuff, boxing and rugby. But otherwise, we've got all college basketball today on Thursday. Going to start it off with Dave Cokin. He's going to look at Michigan, Colorado State, also Memphis and Boise. Teddy's got a big game breakdown in between UConn, New Mexico State. And then, of course, Ralph Michaels, the human database, the pen, is going to look at San Diego State, Creighton, also St. Peter's, Kentucky, some of the nighttime games for Thursday. Teddy, before we get to all that great information, though, need to know if you learned anything last night. I talk about how those play-in teams always make a run. This year it'll be either Indiana or Notre Dame. Question is, does Notre Dame have anything left in their tank after a double OT and now having to play fast-paced Alabama tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, we got to start with this. I know the games tip off in a few minutes. We appreciate you guys watching us. Keep the volume on here. We'll have plenty of time to watch the games. We'll get you off before halftime of the very first one. But last night, let me start. Okay, last night was my son. He was in the talent show at his elementary school. Thank the Lord it's on Wednesday and not on Thursday, okay? Can you imagine? But it's an elementary school talent show. Sitting through it's not always fun. It's fun to watch your kid. Isaac was great. But I couldn't even check scores in there. So we get out, we go home. And look, Isaac's never been one for watching games with his dad. It's certainly not football. He'll watch an inning or two of baseball with me. But this year, he's getting into hoops. He's into basketball. So we get home, we turn on Notre Dame Rutgers. I got Notre Dame. What's the point spread, Dad? All we got to do is win, kid. All we got to do is win. And if you watch, it was a great game. It really was. Went into overtime. It was a wild OT. The lead goes back and forth multiple times in the final minute. Then double OT. Notre Dame hits the game winner, 1.4 seconds on the clock. And all of a sudden, I'm high-fiving my son, and it was a blast. Dude, sports betting's always a business for me. It really is. I've never been one of these guys that's super emotional, super I'm someone that treats it like a business all the time. Last night, it was fun. And you know what that means? That means welcome to March Madness, boys. It's 10 minutes till the opening tip, and here we go. It's going to be a fun 4 days. It's going to be a fun 3 weeks. And it was fun last night, cashing a ticket with the Irish. What about you, Steve? What did you learn last night?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great story. And I remember, I think I got in probably the tournament when I was around 9 or 10, so great age for your son to start getting interested in it. And I still remember looking at we went on a field trip to the Washington Post in 1983. And I still vividly remember that. They're showing how the papers were printed or whatnot. And what jumped out to me, they had a print of the NCAA bracket from like the year before, one of the hard, I believe, the term with the thing that you print with, the metal thing, But they had to do it. That's how they did it back in the 80s before computers. They made everything. And I still vividly remember that. I also remember asking my dad, what is Old Dominion? They were in the tournament in the mid-'80s, and here I was in Virginia, didn't even know what Old Dominion was, and that was the nickname of the state. So it's an educational process as well, the NCAA tournament. Dave Cokin, I want to get you on right away because, I said we have Michigan, Colorado State, Teddy's alma mater. I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get to a free play for the first game that's going to tip, a bonus for all of our live viewers. We appreciate you, as Teddy said, tuning in live here at noon Eastern on Thursday. Dave Cokin, WagerTalk.com. Welcome to the show. What's your first memory of the NCAA tournament, Dave? I know you've been doing this for a while.
I don't know what my first memory is. It's so far. Seriously, it's so long ago. I don't remember.
Then it's not your first memory.
It's probably Providence College, but I don't remember any circumstances. Anyway, what I learned last night is that I shouldn't get caught up in overanalysis causing paralysis, because my numbers said I should have left the Bryant-Wright State game alone, and I got heavy into the matchups. It's like, geez, I think Bryant's going to be able to get to the rim on this team, and that's their game. And they did, and they couldn't make a shot. Pride had a horrible game, so I was on the wrong side of that. So I simplified things today and just went with underdogs that I have winning the game outright on my numbers, and we'll see if my numbers are good or not. As for Michigan and Colorado State, this is an opinion. I didn't back it with money, but my opinion is that the Mountain West is getting overrated. Don't get me wrong; it was a terrific league this year in terms of competition. You could throw a blanket over the first 6 or 7 teams, and anytime they met, it was going to be an absolute war, with defense being emphasized. But the problem is, if you look at these teams, up and down the line in the Mountain West, with a couple of exceptions, they're almost all kind of, I won't say mediocre, but less than stellar offensive squads. And I think that's going to show in this tournament and probably get them into trouble. I don't think any of the Mountain West teams will survive the weekend, and I think they could all be gone in the first round. So that would include Colorado State. Now, I know Michigan is not a side you want to really get excited about because the Wolverines have been maddeningly inconsistent all season long. I don't know that Juwan Howard has the coaching rocks that a lot of these other guys have. So I'm not going to be shocked if Colorado State beats them today. But on paper, Michigan's better than Colorado State. And I agree with Michigan being favored. The market is betting Colorado State late. That number's coming down. I would disagree with the movement. I think Michigan wins.
So I want to ask you, Dave, because the Wolverines are dealing with a situation where their starting point guard, Devontae Jones, is out with a concussion. Now, he has missed time, so it's not like he's played every game and he's just missing here. But does Jones' absence concern you for this game against a Colorado State team that is pretty good defensively? Maybe not elite, but pretty good.
Well, I don't know that any teams are going to have great offensive games against the Mountain West, because it is a defense-first conference, and they can play defense. But I just don't know that the Colorado State offense, which basically revolves around Roddy, is going to be able to do much against the very athletic Wolverines. I think that's going to be an ongoing theme for the Mountain West in this tournament, is their offense struggling. Their offense is struggling for the most part, and I think that's going to be the case here. I just think the better athletes on the Michigan squad have an edge. Not to get me to the window. I just couldn't make the bet on Michigan. But push comes to shove, I would be on the Wolverines.
Yeah, once again, that game tips off in about 6 minutes at 12:15 Eastern. A little bonus for the live viewers here on Wager Talk Today on Thursday. We appreciate you tuning in live at noon Eastern with us here. I would lean Michigan minus the 2. My power ratings made the game 2, so I'm not using it today. It's exactly where I thought the line would be. But just the intrinsic value with Michigan, because Dave and I talked about this a few weeks ago. I think they were ranked as high as top 4 preseason, which is theoretically a 1 seed when the season began, and now they're an 11 seed. So there's obviously some upside talent-wise with Michigan, and we'll see if they can get it done. I talk about those play-in teams making a run every year. Maybe Michigan's at 11 seed that can make a run. I don't think it would surprise us if they did do that. Also would not surprise us if they get bumped today in the first round. That's how they've been a whole season. But a team that was on the bubble, not even in the play-in game, though. So the committee obviously thinks higher than a lot of other people do. Michigan and Colorado State gets us started here in about 5 minutes. Dave, another game here, which should be a really good matchup, is an 8-9 game, Memphis and Boise. Obviously, the winner's got a tough game after this. They got to get by this game first. How are you looking at this one? Memphis is another team. I talked about them a few weeks ago as well when we were doing the college show. Once they got healthy, they were a real play-on team for me the last couple months. But I think Boise's a sneaky little team as well. How are you playing this one?
And this is much the same as the other game I just talked about. Boise is really good defensively. They're not much offensively. They don't have much creativity. And one thing that they got by all season, basically, in the Mountain West, without a point. They don't have a true point guard. It's a point guard by committee. I think that gets them in trouble in this tournament. Memphis is much more athletic than Boise State. I know there were a lot of complaints about Penny Hardaway early. They seem to have disappeared because Memphis did gel in the second half of the year. I think Memphis is a team that could create problems for any opponent in this tournament. And if they're having a good shooting game, wouldn't surprise me for Memphis to make a run to the Sweet 16 and maybe be a pain in the ass at that point. Boise, Leon Rice is an excellent coach, terrific game coach. He's put the right combinations out there on a regular basis and has found a way to pull out close game after close game. I know everybody's talked about Providence College being the luck team this year, the team that just kept on winning close games. Boise's right there with them. They've been phenomenal in close games. And if that's the case today, maybe Boise finds a way to pull it out. But I think Memphis is more talented, and I actually think they're playing really good ball coming in. I expect Memphis to eliminate the Broncos today.
Yeah, so Memphis was on my short list. And like you, Dave, they were right there, and they didn't make the card. I missed the best of the number, and I didn't put it out with the Tigers. But one concern that I had, and it was really my only concern about the Memphis side, when you look at the teams they struggled against, SMU, Houston in the final meeting, they were all, defensive-minded squads that can pack the low post, kind of like Boise does. Does that concern you here? I think of the three Mountain West teams, yeah, it's hard to say which one I think is most likely to come out. I don't know that any of them are, but Boise might be live in that regard.
Could be. And again, we'll see how Hardaway and company fare in an NCAA tournament game. But on paper, I mean, is just in terms of raw talent, anybody going to argue that Memphis is clearly superior athletically to Boise? They just are. So to me, Boise's going to have to play a great game, not make any mistakes on defense, not get into foul trouble, and find a way to generate some offense against a team that's got length and athleticism. I didn't put it on my card, I'm like you, but there's only one way I'd play the game, and that's Memphis. And you won't be on the public side, I don't believe. I think the public is going to like Boise in this game more because they don't like Memphis.
That game goes at 1:45 Eastern Thursday afternoon. So Dave gave you a couple nice daytime plays here for Thursday afternoon. And speaking of 1:45 Eastern, Dave and I will be back along with Ralph Michaels at 1:45 Eastern to do the college basketball tip-off show here on Thursday. We'll be looking at 3 advanced games for tomorrow on Friday. So you got some Thursday plays here, actionable info for right now, and then some advanced Friday info here in about an hour and a half on WagerTalk TV. And don't forget, if you missed it live, watch the replay 24/7 here as well. Dave, what else you got going on at WagerTalk.com?
Well, the last 2 nights haven't been good, but it's been, boy, what a run it's been. The golf has been unbelievable. The college basketball conference tournaments were 8-1-1. NHL's been back and forth lately, but it's still a very good season overall. I'm now up over 100 units for the calendar year 2022, so we've already crossed the century mark in mid-March. I'm real happy about that. In baseball coming up, we're going to have a full season. As most people know, baseball has been a very good sport for me over the years. So check out the specials that are available right now. There's a really good one for the baseball season, and if you like what you see, please sign up.
Yeah, actually had a client take advantage of that late last night, I noticed, and it is a fantastic early bird for baseball, $6.99, and I think it's the first 50 spots only, and I don't know where we are. I know one person took mine last night, so there's 49 or less left, and I'm sure a few have taken Dave's as well because he's a great baseball capper. Teddy, that's a great special.
Yeah, but, I mean, we got to talk Cokin's golf here for a minute because the dude hit a 50-1, and then he hit another 50-1, and then last week, all he had was a 35-1, all right? These don't come around every day. Dave just hit 3 of them. Bam, bam, bam. Knocked me off the leaderboard. Man, I was sitting there on all the leaderboards. Next thing, there's Cokin hitting the 35-1. All right, we got work to do again. But congrats on the golf, Dave. That's what you've done in golf is a downright impressive because you're not peppering the board. You're not putting out 20 future plays every week. You're putting out a hand 1, 2, 3, and hitting some long shots. Well done, man.
The most I ever put out is 4, and I usually don't do that because I don't want to risk that much of the bankroll. So I'm usually 2 or 3. I don't know about this week. I don't have a good feel for this tournament, so I took 3 long shots at the Valspar, and we'll see what happens. And I probably won't have anything next week of the match play, which I don't like the match play format. Like it to watch, but don't like it to handicap. But the Masters is coming up, and hopefully we'll gear in. I've got a couple of guys I've had circled for the Masters, and if they're in good form going in, we'll get prices and hopefully a victory.
Yeah, and Dave, that's another great reason to get one of those all sports, all access subscriptions because you get Dave's golf the minute he releases it, instant alerts, baseball as well, which is coming up. He mentioned college basketball, and don't forget about NHL hockey. Dave's pretty good at the NHL as well. So all sports has some tremendous value at WagerTalk.com. Dave, I'll see you in about an hour and a half. We'll be back at 1:45 Eastern for college basketball, talking some Friday games. Get a little research in the next hour, and we'll talk again soon here on Wager Talk TV. Teddy, let's keep the college basketball train rolling. 30 seconds. I want a big game breakdown, NCAA bracket style. We'll be right back.
Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95, and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down, and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.
It is time for today's big game breakdown, and let's go to the big dance. In fact, let's go to Buffalo, New York, and take a look at New Mexico State and UConn. That game tipping off 6:50 Eastern, 3:50 here on the left coast today on Thursday. Right now, looking at the Wager Talk Live odds screen, I'm seeing the Connecticut Huskies minus 6.5, total of 132 against the Aggies. This is a situation for me where I want to bet on a particular coach. That coach is Chris Jans. All right. Jans is a fascinating story. All right. This is a guy who was on his way to a major job. All right. He was an assistant at Wichita. He was an assistant at Illinois State. They were talking about him as replacing Greg Marshall at Wichita when he left. And then, boom. What'd he do? He got drunk and he was fired for inappropriate behavior at a local bar. So he spent a couple years in purgatory. And then New Mexico State's like, we'll take a shot at this guy. And all he's done at New Mexico State since he gotten there is taking the team to the tournament. New Mexico State has been to the tournament 10 times since 2007. They just haven't won any of these games. They've come close. You know, this team was 1 point away from knocking off eventual Final Four team Auburn in 2019. So it's not like they've been outclassed in all of these games. And when we look at this New Mexico State team, okay, here's Jans, who's a coach that we like. A coach who designed some really unique and interesting game plans. What do they have? Well, they got the good guard play, Teddy Allen, player of the year in the WAC, averages 19 points a game. What do you have in the low post? Well, you got Will McNair, Johnny McCants. They have a big, strong front court. UConn is a team that really can't shoot straight. They're excellent defensively, but putting the biscuit in the basket is not their strength. RJ Cole, leading scorer. He's the only guy who can create for UConn offensively. But this is a senior who's never shot better than 41% from the floor in any year in college, and he didn't do that this year either. He doesn't shoot straight. I mean, you think about the defensive game plan. This isn't a game where Sanogo is going to go nuts. They're going to try to take New Mexico State's going to try to take him away in the post and go under on screens and force UConn to beat him with jumpers. I don't know if UConn can win this game with jumpers. I don't know if UConn can win this game by margin with jumpers. Sometimes the point spread tells you what you need to know. UConn, that's an amazing statistical profile, only -6.5. That's because they're live to get beat tonight. Give me New Mexico State plus the points. And there's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merril.
I like it. A little NCAA tournament big game breakdown style from Teddy Covers, WagerTalk.com. And, Teddy, I reach over, I'd pinch you because you're not wearing green. I'm wearing my green, but I knew we'd have somebody else that's probably wearing green today, and that's the Irishman himself. This is the most authentic St. Patrick's Day show anybody has on the internet right now because we have Kevin Dolan on live. And as you saw, Kevin has a great all sports access special if you use promo code LUCKY, LUKY, LUCKY, Lucky, LUCKY. Math was always my strength in school, boys, as I'm sure you would imagine. It wasn't spelling, but Lucky gets it done at WagerTalk.com. And Kevin, welcome to the show. And how's St. Patrick's Day been treating you so far?
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me on, fellas. And obviously, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone listening. But yeah, it's been good. Obviously, I'm living in the future at the minute over in Korea, but they have a wee St. Paddy's Day festival over here, so I got out in my green. I like your shirt, Steve, as well. And Teddy, I'm obviously disappointed. No green on today. What's going on there? But yeah, it's all been good.
I was trying to get pinched. But I got to ask you, so you say you're
it's his favorite day of the year. He gets pinched.
You said you're in Korea right now? You're not in Ireland? So
yeah, we had to
my
move.
Impression of
my
Paddy's
wife's Korean, so we had to move back.
Oh, all right. But my impression of Paddy's Day is that it's a holiday for everyone outside of Ireland. Not everyone that like in Ireland is like, yeah, whatever. It's a holiday. But in the rest of the world, when you're not in Ireland, it's like that's what makes it the big party. Is that the case, or is it every bit as big in Ireland as it is everywhere else?
It's interesting, Teddy, because obviously we have two big holidays traditionally in Ireland. We have Halloween and we have St. Patrick's Day. So you're probably right in years gone by, obviously. But the Americans kind of showed us, how to jazz it up a bit. So now St. Paddy's Day is a massive festival in Ireland. You got 1 million people at Dublin. We dye the rivers green. So we kind of took some tips off you guys over there. And yeah, it's a big event in Dublin.
Kevin, how big of an event is it going to be in Korea, though? I got to ask. South Korea, do they even know what it is?
There was me and I think two other guys, but yeah, so it's not it's not the biggest over here in Korea, to be fair.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Korean Irish probably. Well, you're helping that out, though. You and your wife hopefully are helping that cause out. So I thought you were in Korea. I didn't want to say for sure. I wanted to ask you first, but yeah, I was going to say at the beginning, we got an Irishman who's celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Korea. So there we go. It's an international show, Wager Talk Today. Speaking of international, we're going to look at some boxing here in a second. First, I want to talk about rugby. I caught the 6-on-6. The small rugby was fantastic at the Olympics. What is that called? The rugby 6 or whatever. A couple of years ago there in Japan. What's that?
Yeah. Rugby 7. Sorry.
Rugby 7. Correct. Rugby 7. Yeah, I thought that was one of the best events in the 2016 Olympics because Japan was pretty good and it really fast paced, kind of like watching a better version of football, in my opinion. When you handicap rugby, though, in general, what are you looking for here? I know you're talking about rugby Six Nations. This is is it 12-on-12? I know there's more guys out there. Just let us know a little bit about it. And also the Ireland-Scotland, I would expect that to be a heated rivalry on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, generally, it's actually pretty similar. What I look for, as in like basketball as well. I look for a lot of pace. I look to see how fast teams are getting off the ruck and stuff. And I only really handicap rugby union as well. I don't really touch rugby league all that much, which is, a big sport in and of itself. But, I thought I'd come on today's show, obviously, and I know the tournament's taking centre stage right now in terms of, national attention and so on. But, I had to cover Ireland, because of the day it is and stuff. And, they have a huge game this weekend as well. What a week it's been for them. They faced off against England last week, absolutely trounced them over in Twickenham, 32-15. So it's always fantastic, obviously, when, Ireland go over to the English capital and, take care of business over there. But it's come down to a 2-horse race now in the Six Nations. Six Nations Tournament, obviously, is second, only behind the World Cup in terms of, appeal. It's a massive tournament over in Europe. So, it's a 2-horse race right now between France and Ireland for the title. And France are going to host England, over in Paris in the late game on Saturday evening. So it's probably the only time you're ever going to see an Irishman, cheer on an English team in a major competition. But, England will be doing a massive favour to Ireland, obviously, if they could cause the upset over in Paris against the French. But, obviously Ireland have business of their own to take care of prior to that. We were facing Scotland in Dublin earlier in the day. So, that's no doubt a tough game. Scotland's a good team, but Ireland have traditionally been very strong, in this role in the past historically. So I would expect Ireland to get the job done here against Scotland on Saturday. Ireland, fantastic record. They've won 14 of the last 15 home matches inside the Aviva Stadium in Dublin since the last World Cup. Scotland haven't come to Dublin and beaten Ireland here since 1998 either. So previous form definitely on the side of the Irish heading into this one. The form that they're in right now, as well as we talked about last week's win against England, you'd have to expect them to deliver once again on Saturday. But, just in terms of this game, the issue I have is Scotland's defence. So, again, that's something else I look for when I'm handicapping games. How, you're talking about ruck speed and stuff. So how quick can defences form up? And I have real concerns about the Scotland back line. I faded them last week by taking the Italy team total over in that one. It cashed fairly comfortably. Italy actually put up more points in that game against Scotland last week than they'd managed across all of their previous 3 games combined. So, it is a huge issue for Scotland ahead of this one, especially facing an Irish team with one of the fastest ruck speeds in all of world rugby right now. Just 2.89 seconds on average unloading the ball. So I do expect Ireland to win this game reasonably comfortably on Saturday. So do the books. The line's at minus 13.5. Ireland going to win this game, hopefully, and keep pressure on the French at the top. And, I'll take that. I'll take Ireland minus 13.5 points here to overcome Scotland this weekend. I like that. I think they win this game by margin on Saturday. And I'd also expect Ireland to eclipse their team total in this game. No line listed as of yet. But when that gets released, because of Scotland's issues on defence, I would look towards that as well.
Kevin Dolan, Rugby Six Nations, take Ireland minus the points and look for the Irish team total to get up and over. Let's shift focus to boxing. 2 guys who I never heard of. You're going to have to tell me about them. Tyrone McKenna and Regis Prograis. What are we going to do with this fight on Saturday?
Yeah, Teddy, this is an undercard fight, so I'll say that, but it is quite big. Prograis, for those who follow boxing, former world champion and all that, but just to keep it Irish again, Tyrone McKenna's from Belfast, so it's a big fight for him. And this fight's over in Dubai. It's on the undercard of Sonny Edwards and Mohammed Wasim on the Probellum card. So if you haven't had the chance to check out Tyrone McKenna yet, he's definitely worth a look. Very entertaining fighter. He pretty much knows only one way to fight in there. He fought a tough Mexican fighter, Jose Felix, last August over in Belfast. On the Michael Conlon undercard, and he got clipped early in that one, went down in the third. His corner was basically begging him to back up, box. He's a big guy for this weight. We're talking about 140 and he's 6'1". So very tall, rangy, but he doesn't use any of that. McKenna's going to do McKenna. He refused to back up, refused to box. He got the Belfast crowd to roar him on in there, and he entered into an absolute blood and guts war against Felix. Both men trading huge shots. McKenna eventually, got the better of him on the scorecards, but this is a massive test facing him on Saturday over in Dubai against Regis Prograis. Prograis, former WBA champion, as I said at the start, got to the final of the World Boxing Super Series, the Muhammad Ali Trophy, against current undisputed 140-pound champ Josh Taylor a few years ago. And a lot of people thought prior to that fight, Prograis was going to win that one. Books certainly thought so. He went into that one as the favourite, but, Taylor edged him out. Really close competitive fight over in the O2 in London. And honestly, since then, it's been a little bit of, you'd say mismanagement on Prograis' part. He spent the last couple of years, in the boxing wilderness almost. So even how this fight came about, to be honest, it's a bit of a laugh. McKenna basically, McKenna's an undercard fighter for the most part, hasn't done a whole pile in the sport. Basically just started trolling Prograis on Twitter. I'm going to beat you up. I know where you live and stuff like that. So, Prograis responded on Twitter. I don't even know who you are, but, let's fight. Let's organize it. So, just for anyone who's thinking about it, it's maybe almost useful to, talking trash on Twitter sometimes pays off because they're both going to Dubai in a massive fight. But, this is a serious step up for McKenna here. He's fought some good fighters, no doubt, in the past, Jack Catterall, O'Hara, Davies, and so on. But, if Prograis is back to anywhere near his best here this weekend, I just don't see McKenna. Obviously I'll be rooting for him, but I don't see him being able to live with Prograis for too long in there, especially with the fight style McKenna employs as well. Very front foot heavy. And there'll be minimal Irish support in there to cheer him on, you'd imagine. I think Dubai's got about the same St. Patrick's Day parade as, South Korea. But, McKenna just doesn't do defense. He loves to walk forward, loves to trade big shots, and he's going up against the guy in Prograis with electric power. Prograis has an 85% KO ratio over the course of his career so far. He's got an absolutely, murderous left hand as well, and I just can't see McKenna making it out of the first half of this fight if he intends to stand and trade with Prograis in there. So the under-over for this one, set of 5.5 for this fight. I'm quite happy taking the under in this one. Gets us the midpoint of the 6th round, and, you never know as well, maybe McKenna St. Patrick's weekend gets a home run shot of his own in there. So with the way both guys walk forward, I think this one will be an absolute firefight. But I'm expecting someone to get sparked out. So taking the under 5.5 in that one.
Kevin Dolan, WagerTalk.com. He knows his boxing, and he has a 5% main event, Fury White. That alone is $35. He also has a soccer best bet on his page right now. You might want to consider that 30-day all-sports special. It's only good for the next 24 hours. It's a St. Patrick's Day special. Code LUCKY gets it down from $2.99 to just $177. That's less than $6 a day, including that 5% best bet. Kevin, let people know what else you cover. NBA, NHL. I know you dominate several sports.
Yeah, we got that absolutely huge St. Patrick's Day special offer up right now that you guys covered. 30-day all-access pass down from $2.99 to $177, almost 50% off. So, great deal there. And, just across multiple sports, as you said, 40 and 25 NHL best bet side one right now. We're 29 and 15 in all boxing top plays. I absolutely, if we had 10% plays at WagerTalk, I would be, that's one of my favorite plays of the year, that Fury White that we have loaded up right now. Up almost 80 units on boxing best bets. We're 12 and 4 and 5% NBA releases as well this year, and really looking forward to the next few months. Obviously, I actually remember you saying, Steve, on the NBA tip-off show last year that the best time of the year, in your opinion, to make money is the NBA playoffs. I absolutely couldn't agree more. Really looking forward to that coming round again soon. We went a perfect 4-0 on our 5% top play NBA releases in last season's playoffs. So looking forward to that. And obviously we got rugby, Champions League soccer, NHL, baseball about to start as well. So it's shaping up to be a great time of the year.
Yeah, no, don't let the accent fool you. Kevin knows his NBA. I've done a lot of NBA shows with you, and your pro basketball, and you're doing your part to spread St. Patrick's Day across the world over there in Korea. So enjoy, stay out of trouble. And once again, he's got a strong 5% boxing best bet for $35, or you can get it for less than $6 a day with that $177 special. But you got to have promo code LUCKY at WagerTalk.com for Kevin Dolan. Teddy, that was some good Irish info on St. Patrick's Day, and now we're going to turn back to the NCAA tournament with the human database himself, Ralph Michaels, who definitely knows some college hoops. And I mentioned earlier, Dave Cokin's going to be on in about 1 hour at 1:45 Eastern with me on the college basketball. It's the happy hour tip-off show. I've always joked about that title, and I was thinking if there's ever a time that it's an appropriate title, it's at 1:45 Eastern on St. Patrick's Day and Thursday, the first day of the tournament. Well, there will definitely be some people drinking at 1:45 Eastern around the country today on Thursday. And Ralph will be with me in about an hour doing that show. We're going to look at 3 Friday games once again on the Thursday show, some advanced games for tomorrow. But in the meantime, Ralph Michaels, welcome to the show. Let's dig right into some college hoops for Thursday, though. And we always have some charts and whatnot. If we have a little time at the end, we might pop up a couple of charts as an added bonus. But I want to get your thoughts on an 8-9 matchup. San Diego State, Creighton should be a pretty good one. The Aztecs are the type of team I think can always be dangerous in the tournament for both themselves and their opponents. They don't shoot well, so they're a one-and-done 50% chance, but they also can make a run because they play slow half-court defense, as good defensively as anyone in the country, can be really dangerous come tournament time. What do you think? How will that matchup play out against Creighton tonight?
Yeah, really, for me, it's the guard play. And you look at San Diego State, we know that their offense struggles. We know their defense is elite, as good as any defense in the country. Of course, Creighton lost Nemba, their point guard, 6 games ago. They went 3-3 down the stretch. But even with them, they weren't a good team on offensive turnovers. They ranked 305. So they turn the ball often. They turn the ball over often. San Diego State's defense, number 29 in turnover D. And then when I look at Creighton and you look at the Big East, and, historically, I think Big East, tough defenses, we've seen elite UConn defenses. We've seen Villanova defenses. And you think of good Ds, but Creighton is the best defense in the Big East. Other than Creighton, there is no team in the top 25 defensively in the Big East in Ken Palm's ratings. So Creighton now all of a sudden has gone through this stretch without facing those elite Ds. They're facing the San Diego State team. And I'm taking a trend and angle from Mark Lawrence's playbook, and it applies to teams with a win percentage of 66% or higher that lost their conference tournament finals game as a favorite, and now they're a favorite of up to 8. So a couple parameters, but not too crazy. You played the conference tournament championship, you lost as a favorite, win percentage over 66%. You're now a favorite from 1 up until 8 points. Those teams in the NCAA tournament have gone 19-3 against the spread.
So we're looking at we had Cokin on earlier in the show, and he was really, I call it anti-Mountain West, saying, this is a conference that nobody can shoot straight. And in general, I'd rather be fading the Mountain West teams than backing them. Do you have any thought process in that regard, Ralph? Does that concern you about the Aztecs here? They come from a conference that maybe they didn't face a whole lot of good offenses because one thing we can say about Creighton, offensively, when they get going, that team can light up the scoreboard in a hurry.
Well, you know what, Teddy? That sounds real familiar. Wasn't the entire world talking about that in the Pac-12 last year? The exact same situation. Who the hell's going to bet the Pac-12 last year? And look what they did. I'm going to say this. Yes, we can say that the offenses are really bad, or we can say the defenses are really good. You look at the Mountain West defenses, and, in Ken Palm's ratings, San Diego State 2, Boise State number 19, Fresno State number 27. Those are numbers that, those top 3 teams are better than the Big East teams. So, yes, bad offenses, or yes, some very good defenses. So, I'm not going to let conference bias change my matchup on this game.
Yeah, and you talk about, research and database. You always got to be careful with small sample sizes when you're doing, league-wide systems, of course. So you got to be the same thing whether it's the college bowl season or the NCAA tournament, when you have, one tournament team, a couple conference teams from one, conference not doing well. It's a 2 or 3 game sample. You always have to look at the matchup still and not overreact to 1 or 2 days of results. But, of course, the Big Ten is the team that's on front and center stage with 9 bids. Indiana made it. Rutgers just missed out last night in double OT. We'll see how they fare. Michigan down by 5 as we're doing this show live on Thursday afternoon. Ralph, we got some charts I want to get to in a moment, but first I want to get one more game from you before we get there. Let's look at St. Peter's, Kentucky. St. Peter's a big dog. These 1 seeds and 2 seed games are always a little tricky for me because it's not really, for the most part, we know who's going to win, right? It's just a matter if that team's going to cover. Does Kentucky get there as the 18-point favorite? Can St. Peter's keep it close?
I don't think so. You look at Calipari as a 17-point favorite. He's 2-8 in his 10 games. And you have to remember, when you're a 1 seed, you find out your seedings on Sunday, and then you're breaking out practices Monday, Tuesday, and you're looking at who you're facing. Obviously, you're facing a weak opponent, but then you're also looking at the other 2 teams you're going to be playing. So you're splitting practice. That's a lot of times why I like fading those big favorites in the first game with only 1 day rest. I play many more big favorites in the second day's rest because you've prepped and the better coach usually has less prep time, but they can prepare their team better. St. Peter's is a team that, is almost like San Diego State. They're a mini version of San Diego State. Really bad shooting the ball, but they play excellent defense. And I'm talking excellent defense. You have Kentucky, that is not a big team. St. Peter's normally gets outmatched because their front line is 6'5", 6'7", 6'7". But Kentucky is only 6'5", 6'7", and 6'9". What does Kentucky do on offense that makes them so efficient? Well, they're not a three-point shooting team. They get it inside to Oscar T, who potentially one of the best players in college basketball this year. But if you haven't watched St. Peter's, keep an eye on Casey Nadifo. He is a three-time all-conference defender. He's 6'7". He normally plays big forward, but he can shift to center. And I think he slows the Oscar T bandwagon. Kentucky doesn't mind slowing the ball down, getting it, passing it around, shooting that two, trying to get the ball inside. St. Peter's excellent defense inside. 2-point defense in the country, number 11. Yes, granted, they played a weak schedule, only number 232, but they are also one to slow the pace down. So with this being the first game, with the pace of both teams, with someone to match up with Oscar T, without having to give up that height edge, this is an actual client release for me today on St. Peter's.
So I got to ask, because when you look at what happened in the few games where the Peacocks stepped up in class, they allowed 85 to Providence. Providence shot the ball well against them. Iona scored 85 against them and shot the ball well. They didn't play a whole lot of tournament teams. But when they, St. John's got 91 against them and moved the ball up and down the floor. Do you worry about the fact that maybe St. Peter's numbers are influenced more by schedule than by ability? I know they're going to slow it down. They're not going to play at Kentucky's pace, but we've seen some vulnerability from this defense when they step up in class. Does that worry you here?
Yes, obviously, that's the decision you have to make when you're taking these lower teams. But I will say this, Teddy. I look at what they did early, and yes, they started off slow, going 3-6 and getting ripped against a few people. But you look at St. Peter's body of work year to date, they had 13 players make starts. They were devastated by injuries early. They had no continuity. We've seen the same 5 people now start the last 7 games, and that's exactly when their win streak came to fruition. So the defensive continuity they currently have is what I'm banking on. Yes, you have to worry about the step up in class, but on paper and the couple games that I've watched them play late in the season, I think they can at least slow it down enough to cover this big number.
It's Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com. And, of course, Ralph will be with me and Dave Cokin and Tony Finn in 1 hour at 1:45 Eastern, looking at some Friday college basketball games. He just gave you a couple Thursday night ones in the NCAA Tournament. Ralph, the last couple minutes we have here before we get you out, I want to look at some charts. You're the human database, the pin, the chart master. You got some info from Caesars on the most bet games. Now, I'm not sure this is necessarily one-sided action. This is just the most publicly bet games where they have the most ticket count, I believe. We'll have Dan, our producer, pop that chart up and just kind of let us know how you use this or what you glean from this information, Ralph. It looks like the Michigan-Colorado State as of noon Eastern today at Caesars. Most tickets, is that just maybe because it was a daytime game? Providence is the second game off the card. Total dollars wagered, though, is a little bit different if you look. So maybe that's where we get more info.
Yeah, the one that jumps out to me is Vermont, Arkansas. That's a night game, and it was the third most best game. So, that interest, that's the only one that interests me at all to bring up. I think the second chart is more intriguing. Dan, if you could pop it and pull up the national championships, that just shows you what you bet. And like you said, 4 of those 5 are day games. But when we look at the national championship trends and the percentage of tickets that are bet and the percentage of dollars that are bet, number of tickets, Duke has more tickets written than anyone. 9% of all Caesars tickets were on Duke, 8% on Gonzaga. And look at the money, though. 17% of all dollars bet at Caesars Sportsbooks up until 9 a.m. Eastern this morning were bet on Gonzaga, 10% on Duke, 9 on Kentucky, 8 on Arizona. So the top 10 teams have 70% of the dollars and 58% of the tickets. So I actually thought it would have been higher. If you said, how many teams do you put in the possibility to win? I probably would have had it in that 9 or 10 range. So 70% of the tickets bet on the top 10 teams means a lot of people are taking some flyers, obviously, which are fun during March Madness.
Yeah, that's I would think that's fairly typical, Ralph. When you think about how the betting patterns work, the serious bettors are going to look for teams that are live, and the casual or recreational bettors are going to put some money on their home school, put their money on their favorite school, put their money on their favorite conference, put their money on some long shots that aren't live, but they're 80-1. I'm not surprised that the level of dollars on teams that are actually live to win the championship is only about 70%. Does that really surprise you?
I would have just thought it was a little higher because, most of those fun bets, Teddy, you and I and Steve, of course, that, when people are betting the futures, those fun $5 and $10 bets don't compare to those people making real bets, the Mattress Max making, those type of bets. So I'm not a big futures player, but I thought it was interesting that Duke had the most tickets written. That did surprise me that Duke was there and then Kentucky was third. So both of those jumped out to me.
Yeah, and Duke is the do theory now, right? It was the Coach K can't lose theory for the game against UNC in the ACC championship, and now it's the bounce back do theory since he did lose both of those games in his final NCAA tournament. So I thought that was the most interesting takeaway, Ralph, is that Duke's still getting a lot of the support. Public did not learn from the 0-3 ATS ACC tournament last week, I guess. So we'll see how Duke plays out. And trying to actually get Carlos Boozer on one of our shows here in the near future, who put a mere $50,000 down on them at PointsBet to win. And Teddy, tomorrow we're going to have one of the sportsbook supervisors, I believe, on Jeffrey tomorrow from PointsBet here on the show tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern on WagerTalk Today. Maybe we'll ask him about that bet and some others as well. Ralph, thank you as always. What you got going on at WagerTalk.com for the tournament?
Well, again, just the package is great. I do have something to ask you guys. I love Kevin Dolan. I got to spend a couple days with him when he was here in Vegas. When Kevin talks, who else thinks about Lucky Charms and thinking magically delicious in their head? I hated Lucky Charms, but every time I hear Kevin talk, I got to think about freaking Lucky Charms. So you guys have a great St. Patty's Day. Packages are loaded for today. I'll be loading Fridays in a little bit. And everyone have a great meeting. And if you guys are coming down to the meet and greet in Vegas tomorrow, Superbook, 2 to 7. I'll see you down there.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. That is tomorrow, Friday, March 18th, 2 to 7 at the Westgate in Vegas. Go and meet and greet and have some fun with the Wager Talk crew. And I'll see Ralph here in 1 hour on college basketball tip-off. Teddy, I know you've got several strong best bets in college hoops today on Thursday at WagerTalk.com. You're also still on a 19-5 NBA run in the association. There'll be a ton of games tomorrow and Friday in the NBA. I've got 5 best bets for the tournament, late afternoon and nighttime action, posted Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. So check out our pages and all the great cappers at WagerTalk. Those college basketball tournament specials are still available. $199 gets you everything through April 4th, or a $69 7-day package gets you Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, into the next week as well. Some NIT action, great offers, no promo codes needed. Steve Merril, Teddy Covers, Ralph Michaels, Kevin Dolan, Dave Cokin, and everybody else at WagerTalk.com. Teddy, I've got the college basketball show in 1 hour, and then we'll be back tomorrow noon Eastern. Take us home.
Yeah, that's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition. We'll do it on Friday, and hopefully we'll see many of you on Friday night at the Westgate. Again, 2 to 7. I'll be late, but I'll be there. So it's free. You got a place to sit. Oh, and the booze will be flowing. So I hope you come and join us over at the Westgate Superbook and meet many of your favorite Wager Talk cappers. Unfortunately, Steve won't be there for this one, but I'm sure we'll have him at some point in the future. That being said, we'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Pace yourselves, guys. Enjoy the games, and good luck.
What's happening, guys? None of the greatest day of the year so far. St. Patrick's Day coming up. We're offering a proverbial pot of gold over here at Wager Talk for this Thursday, March 17th. Now, well, it's not actually going to be a pot of gold. It is the next best thing. It's for a limited time only. We're giving away the next 30 days of all of my plays for only $5.90 per day, including any and all 5% best bet releases as well. So for the next 24 hours, get my 30-day all-access pass discounted from $299 down to just $177 when using coupon code LUCKY when checking out. So we're going to be gearing up for an absolutely massive March and beyond. So make sure and join us for that. Celebrate St. Patrick's Day with myself. And, always remember, may your pockets be heavy and your troubles light. So happy St. Patrick's Day from myself and everyone at WagerTalk. Till next time, Slán